That Sober Guy podcast contains adult content, merciless truth, and emotional nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm Shane Raymer. You're listening to That Sober Guy podcast, and we help people stay sober. If it's your first time listening, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today. If you're looking for ways to quit drinking, go to thatsoberguy.com. We got tons of resources for you there. Also, be sure to follow me on LinkedIn at Shane Raymer and on Instagram at That Sober Guy podcast. And we'll be sure to put all the links from today's episode in the show notes, so they're very easy for you to find. Shout out to Humans Music for bringing us in. Always appreciate those guys. I have an awesome guest for you today. I'm really excited to introduce him. I'm going to get to him in just a sec. I just want to say real fast, if you're interested in the first ever Sober Influencer event in Orlando, Florida, January 15th, I'm going to be speaking there. So I'd love for you to come out and meet you in person and see all the cool people that are going to be there. For more information about that, you can go to amplify.soberliferocks.com, and I'll put that link in the show notes as well. So it's very easy for you to find. It's going to be a great time. Our guest today, Christos Garkinos. I think I said that right. Christos is a fashion entrepreneur, social commerce innovator, television personality, and he's an author. Man, he's got quite the story of recovery. And man, I'm not even going to try to explain it. We're also going to talk about his first book, Covet, the Comeback, as well, because a lot of moving parts to this, and I'm excited for him to share with you today. So, Christos, it's great to have you on the podcast today, man. How are you?
Good. How are you, Shane? I'm so excited to be here. I'm just like, you've got such great energy. I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man. I love that, and I appreciate that. Try to keep it up and positive. You know, we're always talking about some fun things. We laugh a lot, and there's also serious things we talk about in our lives, and we're sharing personal stuff. So I just appreciate you taking time to do that today. And to kick us off, shout out to Anna David too. I know she connected us here, so Anna's awesome. Yeah.
That's the best book publisher in the world.
Yep. Awesome stuff. Love her. So appreciate that connection there. Just for those who may be meeting you for the first time, just give us a little background about yourself.
Well, I live here in LA, in Hollywood. I'm been here for like 30 years. I'm originally from Michigan, son of Greek immigrants. So, started working at age 2.5. That's what we do for Greek. From Michigan. And basically I've had this crazy, crazy life. I worked for the biggest companies in the world, like Clorox and Disney. And I worked directly for Richard Branson for 7 years. And, I've had like a great life of being in fashion, and now starting this whole new part of my life the last 5 years. And, my whole life I've been a storyteller because I've been marketing, and I, just what I've kind of done for a living is I tell stories about the brands or myself. And, what is the most important story I've been able to tell is like my ability to recover from what went on with me much later in life. I got sober at age 52. So my whole life was kind of like moving. And then at 50, basically 50, it all fell off the wheels. The wheels fell off. So now I'm able to tell my story. And as someone who's recovered, you understand, like, you're like, when you're in recovery, you're like, why me? Like, why is this happening? And then you realize it's like, I'm here. I got through it so I could tell my story and share that with you guys today.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah. That's the testimony there. And you ask sometimes, like, God, why did this happen? Like you said, why me? Why? Yeah. Well, we're going through it. It sucks. But when we come out on the other end of it and we actually like work through it and do the work and connect with the people and do all the things, now it's like, man, I have something to give back and share with someone else out there who might be hurting. So I love that. So what?
The first 4 letters of testimony is test.
Love it. I never heard that. That's good.
I heard it. I was getting interviewed in Chicago. I'm like, you've been tested. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. That's the first 4 letters of testimony. So
that's funny, man. I like that, man. I'm going to borrow that one. That's a good one. So gosh, and I love to, a lot of people think that, oh gosh, it's later in my life, I could never get sober. You were 52 when you got sober. I mean,
and 10 years in May 2016. So the thing is like, how it is. Like I was a young kid. I was a young kid dreaming of like bigger things when I was 9 years old. And my life was always about these dreams. And it started like when I was 9, when I was like, I kind of got bullied at school. I grew up gay. So, I never really fit in. I was Greek because an immigrant. We moved to like a really nice part of Michigan when I was a kid. and like, the kids were very rich and we weren't. So I never could fit in. But I always had dreams about bigger things. And like, I felt like I could manifest everything. And everything I kind of manifested came true.
Yeah.
So when everything kind of happens, like, oh, I want to like be on television. I want my own show on Bravo. I want to have my own line on Home Shopping Network. I want all these things I dreamt of happened. So what happens is, for me, I don't know about you, when you got sober, on the outside, if you looked at me like, oh my God, this guy's got everything. On the inside, I was dying because I never really dealt with like the otherness of me and who I was and how I felt to be so different. I grew up in like, had to hide myself from, hide myself through, hide myself through, being in the closet, things like that. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, it's tough when you feel like everyone views you as you have it all together. And I can relate to that a little bit, not so much in the work that I was doing at the time, but just in the fact of my brain was doing these mental gymnastics and my heart was hurt and it was broken and my soul was lost. Like I had no idea who I was as a man, like as a person, as a human being. And on the outside, everyone probably say, oh, Shane, he's good. Pretty chill dude, like nice guy, like takes, doing his best, take care of his family, which I that was a huge struggle at that time too.
How long have you been sober for?
So let's see, I just had 12 years on September 11th, actually, man. Yeah. Yeah. So, but at that time back then, people would have said like, they didn't understand when I went to rehab and went to get help. They didn't get it. Like, what do you mean you have a problem? Like you don't, like, it's not, but up here, nobody knew what was going on. So that was so tough, man. Do you relate to that at all or anything you could share to maybe someone out there who might be?
I didn't do the rehab thing. I went to like intensive therapy, like 6 days a week, went to meetings. When I realized like, when I had that moment, you had to kind of drop down and, listen, let's just talk about like how I was so afraid of like, losing control of my life. So I never like, I would drink, and party in college and stuff like that. But I was so afraid of like just letting down my guard. I was never like that guy. And so, but one thing I knew is that if I ever tried Coke, for some reason I knew in my life, like if I ever did Coke, I'd be done. Yeah. And so so the trigger for me was that, loss, and, has been like the biggest trigger for me. I lost my dad when I was very young. I was like in my early 20s. My best friend died a year to that date. And then when I was in my early 50s, my best friend of forever died unexpectedly. And I literally I was married at the time. I had a business life and she died. I walked down to the hotel lobby with all my friends and my husband at the time. And I said, I'm out. And I literally walked out of my entire life because I couldn't deal with the pain. I didn't know where to cope. I was like, what do I do? And so what I did is that, in lieu of like coping properly, like we do now, I threw myself into a relationship and a lifestyle that was like crazy. So all of a sudden it was like Coke and strippers. And I was like, oh my God, like this is what I've always wanted to be free. And it just wasn't working for me. So my friends were like, what is going on with you? Like what, like you said, like the rehab and what's happening. And in the end, it really wasn't about the drinking or the Coke use. It was just my thinking. Yeah. I didn't know. My first sponsor really spoke that to me. Like, this is not about that stuff. It's about thinking. And he had this analogy. I don't know if you ever heard this analogy before, where basically you're driving, right? And let's say you go to McDonald's and like you have which I don't do, but you have a burger and you once a year.
Same.
And you throw the wrapper in the back, right? So all these years of throwing wrappers in the back of your car, right? And all of a sudden you get sober and all that stuff from the back seat hits you and it goes all, you're buried. And let me tell you what happened to me when I got sober on May Day, 2016. I was like, great, I'm gonna get sober. My life's gonna be perfect. And I can't wait to live this life. In 6 months, I swear this happened to me. In 6 months, my mother died 6 weeks afterwards, unexpectedly. My dog died. My 2 favorite aunts died. I got a divorce and I lost my business in 6 months.
From when you got sober.
So every day I was like, I woke up and like, well, now what? Because everything had gone my way and I was flying. And I literally was like, I didn't know what to do. And so I just kept going. I just kept my head down, and I went to meetings every day. I'm like, there's got to be a reason why I'm doing this, and today is the reason why I'm doing this. I was able to tell you my story, put it into a book, and really rely on the tenets of the program to get me through life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love. No, I love that, and it's it's such a testament to like, because I hear that a lot. Well, what happened? I got sober and everything's still shitty. You know what I mean? My life's still a mess, and it's like, well, it's not guaranteed that just because you quit drinking, like that your life's all of a sudden going to be amazing. Like it can be, and it will be if you stick to it. And that kind of sets up this next question that I had for you. So whether it's in sobriety or whether it's business or whatever it is, like how important is consistency to you? Just staying the course, man.
Let me tell you. That's one thing I kind of was in all these things I was. So my story is like during COVID. So before, like my big life last 20 years or so, I do this thing called selling pre-loved goods like Hermes, Chanel, and stuff like that. And I was on the road rebuilding my whole life. So, in small markets like Omaha, Detroit, kind of bringing these things to people. And this is like, 2020, 2019. And I was like, and then like my sister calls me, she's like, you can't come to Detroit because like, there's something happening with this COVID thing. I'm like, what is COVID? So I was shut down. I owe people like $200,000. I was in debt for $1 million from all that stuff I did. I had other debts. I was like, what am I going to do now? And I had a show on Bravo, and I would pitch the Bravo executives about like, things I want to do. And one of the ideas was like Live in the Closet with Christos. It was a show. I don't know how it worked, but like there'd be a camera and I'd be talking to somebody and I'd be in your closet and FedEx would be outside the door and blah, in my head. And so what happened was I got back on March 13th or March 20th from this drunk show. And I turned on Instagram Live. I didn't know what it was at that point. And remember D Nice?
Yeah.
D Nice. So he's right. I saw, now we're friends now, which is amazing. I'm like 100,000 people watching the show. Like, wow, what the hell? Like, I know what I can do now. It's Live in the Closet with Christos. So I went live March 23rd, 2020. With a mission. I chose a time. It was about consistency at 5:00 p.m. Pacific. And
this is your first live, the first live you ever did. Okay.
And I'm thinking like, 3 million people are going to tune in this thing. So, at that point I had like 2,000 followers.
Yeah.
And, and I had to sell bags to like fucking like not go bankrupt. And so I'm like, everybody, it's me, it's Chris. And like I looked, I'm like, there's 8 people watching, 3 are family members, and 5 are Russian bots. Like I am screwed. But you know what? I was like, I'm not giving up. So here's back to consistency. I showed up every day at 5:00 Pacific, no matter what. If anyone got out of bed, I couldn't get out of bed, whatever. If I was sick, every day. And what happened was people like felt I was like the Johnny Carson of Instagram. They knew at 5:00 they could tune in and be connected with me.
Yeah.
Connection is the opposite of addiction. And we're loners naturally. I'm a loner. Yeah. I mean, if I leave the house like once a week, it's like, good. Like I got out of the house or something. I don't know what I did, but like, so that connection, that consistency built my business to where it is today. So I started like that. And now, it's turned into it's detailed in the book, but like Covet comeback, like we just crossed $200 million in sales.
Wow.
In fact, so it's kind of like, it just grew. Cause like people like love to be part of a community and being consistent.
Yeah.
The other thing that's important to me, being consistent, is what I've learned mostly from what I use as a tenet every day with all my staff. It's funny enough, like 50% of my staff are probably sober. I didn't know they were when I hired them, but like, it kind of would come out. But about staying in solution, like staying in solution is the most important thing I think you can do in your life, whether you're sober or not.
Yeah.
I even had this discussion today with my husband today, my current husband. And it's just like, you don't have to solve the problem like fully, when something comes up, just take that first step.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to like solve this today. And then the universe will kind of take you through where it needs to go. Because there's always going to be some, whatever, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
That's what I learned. The 2 things I learned most.
So a little bit at a time. And that your story of showing up every day, I mean, there's so many parallels there in, the sober space too. Like whether you're going to meetings or you're going to church or you got your men's group or whatever it is that you do, your life might be a mess in the beginning, but if you show up every day, I used to have those written in my other office. It was just show up. Cause I know if I just show up, God will work in that if I stay open to it. But if I'm closed off and I'm just trying to like get a quick fix, it just doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. And can I tell you like that in the book, when I do my TED talk, I'm going to open up with this. That one word changed my life. Let me tell you how that changed. Before I started this whole business, and I was like trying to figure, I just got a bad business relationship. A friend of mine said, like, hey, you're from Detroit. Can you go? I was down to my last $3,000. And this is a guy who's like, been at the top of like everything. And they're like, we'll pay you $3,000 to go host a dinner in Detroit. You get some people around the table. I'm like, fine, that's a month. I can be, and this is like 2018. I went there and I was sitting across a woman at the table. I didn't know who she was. I knew she worked for the hotel. I didn't know what, but she was very nice. And at that point, my last vice was smoking. I don't longer smoke anymore, but like we went outside for a cigarette. By the way, kids, if you're watching, smoking is coke, but cigarettes, the hardest to get rid of, right? So, right? You're right. So anyways, so I go outside and she's like, hey, let's, and she introduced herself like, I work for the hotel chain. Great. Like, and I said, so do I. And so she goes, let's have breakfast tomorrow. And like, I always said in my head, I'm already outside my head. We're like, oh, I'll have breakfast with her, but I got to figure out my life because like this is 1 month now. I got to figure out what's going to happen next, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Like, so I tell the story all the time. So literally, I had breakfast the next day. It's in the morning. My leg is shaking underneath the table because my head is really not there right in the lot. I'm just trying to figure out like what I need to do. And we're talking. She's super nice, and she's the head of marketing. And she has all the control of all this small chain of hotels, right? And just talking, and I just said, I'm just here trudging through life. And she said, wait, what? And she leaned like this, and she's like, are you sober? I'm like, yeah, I am. And she's like, how can I help you? And do you know that she set me up in every hotel in that chain to do trunk shows?
Wow.
From that one word. That one word changed the trajectory of my life. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her. And like, the sort of moment of like true circles that I went and did a big book tour earlier this year. And I was in Nashville where she lives now. And she hosted my book signing.
Oh, wow.
So we were to kind of talk about that moment where I was just like, she remember seeing the look on my face, like, oh my God, that's God right there. There's no way,
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah. It's great. I just the last week's podcast that I put out, we had from our men's community. I do a sober guy. How do I kind of context where they ask questions or whatever. And one of the questions was, how do I connect with higher power? And it's one of the things I was talking about in there is like, when we're open to it, I believe that God connects us and speaks to us through people, through places, through different moments in time. And if we're not aligned in that and we're not open to it, it may be happening, but we don't receive it. And so that's a really good example. Like you were open to that in that moment and you were able to give and then receive what she was able to offer.
Well, because it's like, almost for like, I can handle this. I can do it myself.
Yeah, totally.
You don't help at all. And I just think that like, that's the beauty for me of sobriety, like the beauty of like these moments that just can't be real, that give me hope for life. Like when my book launched here in LA, I did a big billboard campaign, right? Like, one was super big by Paramount Studios and the other ones were like smaller billboards that were tactfully chosen, a little bit randomly, but in Hollywood. And so I was back from the road and I was like, I want to go see see these billboards as you do, right? And so I saw the big one, like, yay. And then I had to run around town and I took a right down the street called La Brea in LA. And, I used to live up in the hills, like, when my life was crazy. It was such an LA cliche. Hills, huge house, pool, strippers, coke, just everything, right? And
yeah.
And so I'm driving. I'm like, this feels really, really, really like familiar, like this street where this part of La Brea. And like, I have the GPS like on the car, the woman's voice, is playing. Like, and take her right here into this, like this thing. And I look up, Shane, I swear to you, it's the freaking liquor store that had a janky ATM outside. So I would drive down from the hills because I didn't have any cash to this liquor store, get money and drive, because it's the closest thing, and drive back up to pay my drug dealers.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I look up, and above this ATM, that was like the worst moments of my life, is a huge billboard of me saying "Covet the comeback." And then when I realized it, I turned the camera around, like, because I couldn't believe it. Then the voice in the GPS said, like, totally coincidentally said, "You've arrived."
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No, that's like, crazy. If that's not God or that's not higher power, like whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, what? And I'm by myself, so I couldn't tell anybody. So I recorded the whole thing, like it went viral, on every sober, like, potential thing. Cause like that to me is like, yes, I know, like literally, like, it's about having comebacks and like, there it is. It's right there in front of me.
Yeah, that's huge, man. It's a great story too, man. Thanks for sharing that one.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of your employees or people that work for you. They're sober as well too, and it kind of is a great point you make because it sets up another question I had for you. Do you think there's a shift right now going on with entrepreneurs, with business owners who that whole culture of the work hard, party hard? I mean, it was like that for a long time, and we're starting to see that mentality shift.
So
Yeah.
I think it's back. I think it's back.
Yeah. Oh, you do? You think it's back?
I think it's back. I think, people I know of and like, not people I associate with per se, but I think that whole idea of like, I know that the drug use is higher in New York than it used to be. Like, I think it's back. I think unfortunately it's back. And I think it's like, there's certain people who are out there, but I think, as somebody and like yourself, who's got a lot going on, I still have to kind of keep my demons down. It's a whack-a-mole. Like, I'm not going to go use, but there's other stuff I could do that could take me off my game.
Yeah.
And so when you understand, if you're not sober and like you're running these big businesses, like you saw, like that one guy who was a big business owner who like took all those drugs and died in Utah, like kind of all that stuff that was like, around there tends to be these people who are just so high flying, they can't handle it. Yeah. And that's what actually drove me to like, when I had to get sober is that, I had a television show on Bravo. I was a big successful person on HSN. I was, married, all these things were in my head. And I was like, I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. My ego got in the way. I started being an asshole to people. And that's when I fell. So. Yeah.
So one of the things I hear a lot from guys is why maybe they get 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then all of a sudden they call it the pink cloud sometimes too. And then life kind of hits you. And then I go, well, why'd you go back to drinking? And they say, well, honestly, a lot of it was boredom. So like, how do you deal with boredom in sobriety, or like any advice or thoughts on that?
Well, my new addiction is work. It's always been that I work too much.
Yeah. Well, you said too, you had to keep your demons down. So, I think that kind of falls in line with this same type of question.
Work is definitely, if I was to be honest, like work is an addiction for me.
Yeah.
Because like, a lot of what I do is like, when I'm live stream, because I'm a live streamer, right? I kind of started this whole thing like TikTok and whatnot, but for women who are like super duper, wealthy, and they tune in to buy like big bags. And so when someone says sold on screen, there's definitely like a dopamine hit I get. So there's that. And so my work life, and if it's not going well, I get cranky. So I feel like my work life has definitely like, I don't see I'm cognizant of it. I'm trying to get more balance. So hopefully I'm able to kind of exit this phase of my life and kind of like, become more of a CEO type thing where I don't have to be doing in the trenches working too much.
Yeah. Anything in particular, like anything in your daily routine that helps get you prepared in the mornings, like any tips or anything you could share?
I try to stay off my phone for the first half hour. Number one. Yeah. Cause like if you go down, if you're an alcoholic, you go down that, rabbit hole super fast. Two is I don't know about you. What time of day do you work out? I can tell you work out.
We're in the mornings, usually mornings. Yeah.
I don't trust people who work out at night. I'm sorry. I can't trust people.
Yeah. What are you doing all day that has you all of a sudden?
If you're working out at night, I don't know. I don't understand you. I don't like who works out how? Like, why?
The only thing that I think could benefit working out in the evenings, because I have tried it, is that it does help to keep you on your game in your diet a little bit better. Cause like, okay, I know I'm going to work out in the evening time. Other than that though, I have to work out in the mornings, man. Cause I got to just get it in. Otherwise I won't do it.
I need my trainer yelling at me. I need I just need like that thing. Like right now I feel great. I got up at, 5:45 this morning. My trainer is 6:15 and did some cardio, and then we did a really hard session. And so I felt, and I started getting this big protein kick lately too, because I was never a big protein guy now, and I could see it's great. As you get older, like sometimes you think like, I can't really like affect change in my body. And so, I just started on this big new routine with like more protein and it's definitely, you can see the results, like at least how I feel.
Yeah.
So that's super important. And then the third thing I try to do every day is I try to reach out to somebody and just ask how they're doing.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Cause when you start getting like into your own shit, the one thing I do, contrary reaction, is just, I just call someone up. I don't want to talk about me. Like what's going on with you? What's happening?
Yeah.
And so when you do that little shift, that little that tends to make your life like that day feel much better.
Yeah. Agreed, man. Yeah. Being of service and just being available for other people. My old mentor, sponsor, friend, he's not old, but he would always say, like, I'd be struggling with something and he would say, hey, I want you to go help someone else. That's all I want you to do. And as soon as you do that, like for some crazy way, I'm like, oh shit, I'm out of my own head right now. And okay, cool. Yeah. That works, man.
I mean, I used to have pit bulls and so, the pit bulls are like, they get really focused on something and you have to kind of like, you have to redirect them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like a redirect. Right?
Yeah. That's funny.
Redirect. So, and so I felt like that's what happens to me. That's the most amazing thing. Like kind of just being of service to other people. Like the thing is like, I don't get to go as many meetings as I used to because, one, my sponsor went out and then he just came back in. So I'm sponsorless at the moment, but, I do 12-step these people because I have on a daily basis, probably, 15 to 20,000 people watching me. And so I'm 12-stepping them. But they don't know I'm doing it to them. So, and people reach out to me like, I know you're sober. Can you help me out? I do struggle on about you because you're already the sober guy and you're really open about it. Because, when I came up 10 years ago, it's like, you can't tell people that you're sober because that whole and I've never subscribed to that because I felt like that if we're in the storytelling business, and I can help somebody out there, then why should I not share my story to the outer world?
Totally, man.
Right?
I love that you brought that up because that was, I started this show in 2014. I was like 6 or 8 months sober, man. I've been doing this a long time. And what happened was I was commuting and I was trying to find some podcasts to listen to and there wasn't anything out there. And I realized like, gosh, nobody's sharing this. And so that's kind of what brought me in. I said, you know what? I've been hiding this for so long. I'm going to respect the rules of the game, no doubt, but I'm going to share my experience and I'm going to give a platform to others to share their experience. And so, I mean, I'm right with you there, man. It's a great point. Yeah. Well, we just got a couple minutes. Let's talk about the book, man. Covet, the comeback, man. First book, tell us about it.
It came out early this year. So I did it like with Anna David, as you know, and so I bypassed the traditional routes of publishing, and I sold it mostly to my community. We made it a bestseller on Amazon. The book is about literally like, there are always moments where you think you've made it, and then God's like, not so fast, and you have to kind of like figure it out. And it all goes back to like when I was 9 years old. This kind of tells you how life is. I was 9 years old, and again, as I said, I was kind of like not too popular in school growing up, and I was playing tetherball by myself, right? And for those of you guys who are younger than me, tetherball is a ball that goes around.
Love tetherball.
Right. Okay. So I lived in Michigan, so I was bundled up outside, but I heard the clickety clack of an older girl, probably a high school girl, because I was only 9, on the outside of the fence, like walking. And at that moment, I never heard like a heel like that against the sidewalk. I was like, I'm going to be around that at some point in my life. I knew I was going to be around fashion. From that minute, I was like, oh my God, that's it. And so, in a quick vision, I had like me living in LA and Hollywood. I had this whole thing happening, right? Wow. My life is like, which is basically happening right now. Completely remember it. And at that point, the ball was coming around and it hit me in the face and I got a black eye. And so, so that kind of like, it's like a cool reality. So that always happened to me in terms of like, I was on a blind date once that was going super bad in London. And like my dream job was to go work for Richard Branson. And I was just like, and I kind of, faked like being sick, which is not the best thing to do. And I got out of the blind date and I went to Tower Records in London. And Richard and his team had, 3 weeks prior, had put an ad in an old Billboard magazine for the head of marketing for Virgin Megastores in North Carolina. And I was living in London, back in LA for my home, and I found it. And so, the kind of like those things where it's like those moments happen. So when those moments, I'm very, very. I say about manifestation so important in the book. I talk about all the celebrities I dealt with every celebrity in the world, so my job. But then secondly, when these moments present to you, you like take the moment.
Yeah.
Just maybe not, don't take the drugs, but like take the moment. Like that happens. I mean, the one thing I was, I speak French and I wanted to really live in abroad I was working for Disney at the time. And I had this hookup in a New York hotel when I was working for Disney, and I was coming out of the room, like I had to get coffee like this early in the morning. And I was like, oh man. And so I get in the elevator, the doors open, and it's like the number 2 guy at Disney in the fucking elevators at 7:30 in the morning. I am literally looking like shit.
Oh man.
I introduced myself. I'm like, hey, I'm Christos Garkinos. You don't know me, but I work for you. And like, I knew that was my moment, right? The fucking elevators will open up. I said, I speak French. I know we're expanding in Europe. I really want to work there. So please consider me. 4 months later, I was in Europe.
See, and well, what do they say? People say, "Oh, you're lucky, you're lucky." They said, "Nah, luck is when hard work and opportunity meet." And I love that because, and it kind of goes back to the consistency thing we talked about earlier too, where you have to just continue. You get knocked down, you get the black eye, you continue to show up and you continue to put the work in. They say it takes 10 years a lot of the time, at least, like minimum, so you're grinding. And I remember we did some shows at the Hollywood Improv, some podcasts like that. This was like 2018, I think. It was a great time. It was so much fun. But I remember thinking, yes, I'm going to do a show at the Improv and it's going to be awesome and we're going to make it. And like, it was like, okay, we did some shows. It was awesome. Had a great time, shared some great stories, and then it was back to the grind. It's like, but man, you just keep going, man, and have fun too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I just think it's like, I think that's like, a lot of my friends are like retiring now. Like I could never, I don't think I ever could retire just because I'm Greek. Because I just feel like there's so much to live and learn in life. I was like one person, and 5 years ago, and was like, I was literally in a closet trying to like sell clothes out of my closet to like keep my life going. I've got like 80 people I'm responsible for, like job wise. And so that's a lot of stress, obviously, but it's also a lot of like responsibility that I like. I've always kind of been that person. So I don't have kids, so like I take care of the people around me. And so that's like, that's more.
If you had to identify, because 5 years is really fast when you think about that, when you think about where you were at to where you're at today, that's like really, really fast. It's not common. I don't feel like either. If there was one thing before we wrap up, like, what do you think, if you had to identify one or two things that really helped with that? I mean, obviously probably sobriety is probably one of them, but
sobriety is one. I could not, if I was drinking, there's no way I could have done this. Like there's no way. I can tell you right, there's no way. Sobriety is number one. And number two is like, it is a connection to higher power for me, because I feel like I feel like, my dad was like, died when I was really young. My mom, they're both gone. And I feel like they're there kind of rooting me on because I think I'm kind of doing it for them. And I was able to tell my parents' story in the book, you know what I mean? And nice. So I think that their story need to be told, like who they were and how they're immigrants and how it's important to me. But for me, it's like, when you get, I feel like everything you do in life. So if you do a lot of things like I've done, like leads you to a point. Yeah. 5 years ago, I had my own show on HSN. I'd had some TV experience. I know how to sell things. Like all these things lined up magically, right? Yeah. After a really tough part, I was a pariah in this town. Like I was like, then I had to go move back to Michigan. I was like, oh my God, I can't move back to Michigan. Like, no offense to vendors, but yeah. But I just had to like, make it happen. So that's it. I never give up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, man. Any advice out there for anyone listening? And then tell us where they could find you. And we'll be sure to put the links to your Instagram, to the book. Those will all be in the show notes as well.
Cool. Advice is like, just don't listen to naysayers. A lot of people want to bring you down, especially when you kind of get to a certain level. Don't listen to the noise. Just listen to people that are there to support you. And if you support people, you'll see the people who want to support you back. Because if you believe in that, listen, we all have that brain, especially alcoholics, like, they kind of get into their, I still have I still get into revenge, and I still can get into that sort of, so I just would just keep it positive and just stay in solution. And, you can follow me on Covet by Christos every day on Instagram. I'm there like, at least 2 hours a day, sometimes 7, depending on the day. Nice. And stay connected in any way you can, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Amen to that. That's good stuff. Christos, man, it's been great to meet you. I hope to get to meet you in person someday, man. You never know, man. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning into That Sober Guy podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to share it with a friend. Take care. God bless, and keep your blood clean.